Good morning, everyone. I'm Rakshan Kulkarni from Electronics and Instrumentation Department, and this is my team, Dipayan Chakraborty from Electronics and Instrumentation Department, Siddharth Joshi from Biotechnology, Suchitra Prabhu from Aerospace Department, and this is our System Engineering Experiential Learning Phase 1 presentation. And the topic we have chosen is e-commerce. E-commerce, short for electronic commerce, has emerged as an indispensable part of our modern lives. Its impact on the global economy is undeniable, and its transformative power continues to shape industries, businesses, and consumer behaviors. With the help of this presentation, we can explore and understand the intricacies of this dynamic and ever evolving field. In our digital age, e-commerce has redefined the way we buy and sell goods and services. It transcends geographical boundaries, allowing businesses to reach customers across the globe, irrespective of distance or time zone. On the consumer side, it has empowered individuals with the convenience of shopping from the comfort of their homes with just a few clicks. The significance of e-commerce cannot be overstated. It has revolutionized the traditional retail landscape, and its impact stretches across various industries, from fashion and electronics to healthcare and finance. As we dive deep into the depths of e-commerce, we will discover the driving forces behind its success. In this presentation, we will explore the diverse facets of e-commerce. We will begin by providing a foundational understanding of what e-commerce entails and why it has become an integral part of our lives. As we continue with the presentation, we will look into the different concepts of system engineering, for example, needs analysis, implemented in the field of e-commerce. An essential aspect of e-commerce is its underlying system. We will discuss the key subsystems that constitute an e-commerce system, from online storefronts and product catalogs to secure payment gateways and order processing. Understanding these subsystems is crucial for building and maintaining successful e-commerce platforms. To keep our gaze fixed on the future, we will conclude by highlighting emerging trends in e-commerce, from mobile commerce to voice commerce and artificial intelligence driven personalization. These trends are reshaping the e-commerce landscape and driving innovation to new heights. Now, my friend Siddharth will continue with the presentation.
Okay, thank you so much, Rakshan. So I'll first go over the brief working of the system. So as Rakshan mentioned, our system that we are working on is an e-commerce platform. So we are all familiar with e-commerce platforms these days, whether it is Amazon, Flipkart, Big Basket, etc. There's an endless list of e-commerce platforms for various different purposes. You can literally purchase anything you want. You can purchase used goods, you can purchase electronics, clothes, etc. And each one of them has their own specialized platform. So even though the platforms cover a wide variety of products per se, they do follow a similar working system, as you can call it. So I'll briefly go over how the system works. So any e-commerce platform would have a product listing. So this is very similar to what happens when you walk into an offline brick and mortar store. So when you walk into a store, you see a bunch of products in either shelves, or you can walk through the store and see, the different products. So that's how product listing works. But in an internet platform, it has to be uh, put up in the form of an image, product description, etc. Then you have the browse and search option, which is synonymous to walking around in an offline store. Then you have the adding to cart option, which basically allows you to tell the system that you are interested in in that particular item, and it basically reserves that item for you for a particular amount of time. So moving on to the next slide. Then you have the payment processing. So this is a very, very important system for an e-commerce website, because that's what builds in the trust factor in e-commerce. Because when you're paying money to someone online who you cannot see, you need to be sure that the payment is secure and it is going to the intended person, right? So this is a very important system that we'll talk about later. This happens through credit cards, debit cards, digital wallets, etc. Then last but not the least, you have the order fulfillment and shipment and delivery. So this is where the logistics part comes in, and the item that you have ordered needs to reach to you on time And so that is what completes your e-commerce system. So moving on to the next slide. So let's look into the need analysis aspect of e-commerce. So we've had like offline markets and bazaars for centuries. So why did we have to move? Why did we have to look at the internet to start fulfilling our shopping needs? So let's look into that a little bit. So firstly, we live in a globalized world. Okay, so for any business to succeed, it needs to have a global reach. So an e-commerce platform by its very nature is accessible to everyone across the globe. So that's the very first and major thing about e-commerce websites. Secondly, you can look at the convenience and accessibility. So during COVID, especially, we saw that even though we could not step out of our homes to do our daily needs shopping or even any sort of shopping that we wanted, we could do shopping online. So that actually helped us save our economy from a huge hit. So that was an important role that e-commerce websites played. Then you have multiple different needs such as increased sales opportunities, personalization. Then your inventory management is improved because everything is tracked and recorded by computers. And a very important thing for most e-commerce companies is the data analytics and insights part. So they can actually harvest and sell data from that they gather from the customers to other companies. So this plays a huge role for e-commerce websites in terms of making money. And last but not the least, you have customer engagement, which is enhanced through UX and UI designs. So moving on to the next slide. So every time you talk about a system, you need to talk about its inputs, right? So for an e-commerce website, you can intuitively tell that your inputs would be firstly some information about the product, then you need information about the customer who's buying the product, and then you need data about the transaction, then you need to configure the website, the content and media has to be in a particular manner, and last but not the least, your analytics has to be sound, and your customer support also plays a huge factor since it's an online platform, right? And also important to be noted is the security. So these are some of the brief inputs that you can look at for any e-commerce system as we have listed here. So moving on to the next slide. So the process. So what exactly does your e-commerce system do with these inputs? So firstly, you can look at product management. It basically inventories the product. It lists out what the customer is engaged in viewing that product, who have put it in the cart, who have actually placed order for the product. So that is very important because you cannot be selling products that you don't have. So that's the first process that happens in an e-commerce website. Then you have user registration and authentication. So that also plays an important role. And then a very important thing that I mentioned before was payment processing. So that there's also a huge trust factor and a security factor in that. And that also involves things like security, privacy, and last but not least, analytics and customer support. So moving on to the next slide. So Dipayan will be covering the subsystems.
Hello, everyone. I'm Dipayan from Electronics and Instrumentation Department, and I will be taking this presentation forward. So to talk about the system, we first need to make sure that every detail of the system is covered, and for that we need to discuss about the subsystems that come into this whole product management, into this whole e-commerce thing. So to list out all the subsystems that come under this e-commerce thing, it will be endless. Starting from first listing the product out to the logistics part, the list is endless. But here we have discussed some of the technical aspects of it. So starting from it is product management subsystem, which basically includes like taking the product from inception, from the ideation stage to actually fruition. So that's what product managers do. That's why product managers are there in the company to lead the development process. Again, there's the user management subsystem, which ensures that this proper UI and UX user experience is proper for the users that come into our website. Also, there's shopping cart subsystem that makes sure that the product that the user likes, it is properly added to the cart for the checkout and other payment processes. Again, payment subsystem, which is one of the most important subsystem, includes integrations with other payment interfaces like Razorpay, which is a payment gateway, and there are others. UPI payment systems like PhonePay is own payment system, UPI's payment system, so things like that. Also, order management system, which basically takes your order and gives out proper receipts, and it properly gives our information to the user about whether your order was received and what stage it is. Shipping and logistics subsystem, it is again it goes behind the scenes, but again it's very important for the e-commerce business to make sure that whatever order is shipped out, it properly reaches you in proper time. Analytics and reporting subsystem, content management subsystem, and marketing subsystem. These are all subsystems which are behind the scenes, but play a very better role in the functioning of the e-commerce business, so that every flag that is raised in the technical aspect that is also being that is addressed, and also what is the product description, what is the product pricing, what are the features of the product, all these things. It is properly listed out in the website, and also so that whatever products we are listing out as a business, it can reach the proper target audience. So all these things are very important behind the scenes, but again, it doesn't come into our perspective as a user. So moving on, we'll discuss about some of the system outputs, like what is the output of the process in the whole e-commerce business. So first thing we'll find out intuitively, we can think that product listings, products, what is the features, what are the prices, all these things, what are the what have we added in the shopping cart, and what is its details, what order do we have put, and at what stage it is of being delivered, how far has it been processed, and as a user, my own account, what is my, like, what's my name, what's my phone number, email ID registered with the website, all these things. Payment processing outputs includes receipts and stuff. Shipping and delivery, again, at what point the order is reached, and at what time it will be delivered, all these things. And there are other things also, including customer support outputs and marketing outputs. And these things are important because, again, this increases the trust between the business and the user, so that whatever flag is raised in support of technical issue or logistic issue, so that it is properly meted out by the company. So moving on, what is the future scope of e-commerce business today? If you look in the market, there are so many players. Like my friend was mentioning some time back. So the scope is huge. I think if you look from the outside, you will think that the market is saturated, but then again, the new technology comes into the game, and the game is changed. And the future will belong to the people who has proper personalization, customization of the products. And it just doesn't include the product, but also the product pricing, the product strategy, all these things. And voice commerce, this, like, someday in the future we might find that our Alexa might be able to order a product for us. Also, artificial and intelligence and chatbots, they are being widely used, not just in e-commerce but also in healthcare and education, so that the user experience is better. Blockchain technology again improves the suggestions, whatever suggestion of product suggestions we get on the website. Sustainability and ethical shopping again is very important to make sure. Nowadays we find there are certain issues against patents and stuff in products. So it's very important going forward that we make sure that whoever is restricting our product, their rights are also like maintained, and cross-border e-commerce, so that we can scale our business in global terms. So it is very important to make sure that what are the users that we are targeting through our project. Right now, if you see in the urban population and semi-urban population, households will be using, and there was an interesting strategy that Amazon uses, so that they target the students so that they can convince the parents to buy from Amazon. So we will find like students are the number one target. And since the rural population is also getting much more access to internet in the coming years, right now there are 850 million internet users active every day in India. So you'll find a huge rural population coming into the e-commerce business and ordering and buying and selling, e-commerce businesses. And there is, of course, households and small businesses and MSMEs. MSMEs, I think, will gather a lot of impact in this e-commerce business, and we will find that in the B2B sector and in the B2C sector also, e-commerce small businesses and medium scale businesses will both play the part of buying and selling. Next, moving on, we have the stakeholders, who are like the customers, who are the investors, the suppliers, the upstream suppliers, the downstream suppliers, our logistic partners, the regulatory authorities, and the people who set the industry standards. So that was our presentation. Thank you. And if you have any questions for us, feel free to ask them and reach out to us. Thank you.
Thank you.